To talk more about that history-making victory, we can bring in Karim Baldé, a sports journalist and head of Baldé Production Press Agency. Karim, thanks so much for joining us on the program today. Now, I want to know...
Good morning.
Yeah, morning there. I want to know where you were last night, if you were out, where you were watching, were you celebrating, and what were your thoughts on the match?
I think I was in the best spot ever because I was in the stadium, but not only in the stadium, but on the pitch side. I was for the first half. I was just next to the curva, the Inter Milan's stand, and then I went straight to the other side of the pitch to see how much Parisian supporters can enjoy that massive victory, and that was the best place to feel the atmosphere surrounding this UEFA Champions League final. And so I could see from down there that Luis Enrique managed to put a plan to really put the heads of Inter Milan's player all way long, because they put the pressure from minute one of the game, and I was behind Jan Sommer, Inter Milan's goalkeeper, and I could see that even after like 20, 30 minutes, some Inter Milan defenders such as Acerbi were really tired, and PSG put the pressure with youngsters such as Doué, who was named man of the match yesterday, and that was well deserved for this 19 years old, very talented player. So we could feel from scratch, from the start of the game, that PSG will beat Inter Milan. It was hard to imagine Simone Inzaghi's side coming back, so that was a well-deserved victory for PSG and an impressive fashion for doing so.
Now, Karim, we've all been talking about how well the team worked together, but who, in your opinion, was the standout member on the PSG team in last night's match?
On last night's match, I think that we can pick up Doué, obviously, because as a French football observer, I know that he's very talented. We all know that in France, but the way he shows that in front of the world was very impressive. And I remember some conversations in previous rounds of this Champions League campaign, and especially versus Aston Villa or versus Arsenal, to talk to English reporters, for example, who were discovering him, like, who is this guy? Who is this number 19? And I was telling them, well, you have to follow him because it would go very, very far in his career. And yesterday's game was a confirmation of that. He kept the composure, and he showed that, as other players as well, he has to score in a clinical way. They scored in the first opportunity, and then they scored the second goal on their second main opportunity of the game in the 20th minute of the game. So they knew how to play properly that kind of massive game, and that was a massive change in terms of mentality brought by Luis Enrique since he arrived at Paris Saint-Germain 2 years ago. Because before that, we all remember what happened with remontada and all the stuff, but now with those new players such as Désiré Doué, even such as Slimani, who scored, he's 19 as well, and he scored the fifth goal. We see this talented generation coming for some of them from the PSG academy, raising steadily up to the team A, and then to that kind of worldwide stage. So Désiré Doué was player of the game, but he embodies that new generation of French players. We can quote also Bradley Barcola, for example, and I will pick up also Achraf Hakimi, the Moroccan player, because he's a forward. He's not a defender, he's a forward, and we all know it, but he scored that goal. He was so much in front, and especially during the first half, that Inter Milan, I think, were surprised by that, and he could score the first goal and to bring PSG into the good side.
Now, Karim, we've also been talking about Coach Luis Enrique. You mentioned him there. What kind of role did he play in the team's victory? Do you think they could have got there without him?
No, because the main difference between what happened before Luis Enrique and now is that he had a plan. He had a plan, and players decided, and they stick to the plan. And players such as Captain Marquinhos or Nuno Mendes yesterday night in the mixed zone after that that victory and that UCL win. They all say many credits to Luis Enrique for what he's done, because he knew how to put the mentality into the squad to avoid a kind of panic. Let's look at what happened versus Aston Villa, the second leg. They were led suddenly and they were on the brink of elimination. And then they knew how to keep it down, to keep it cool, just to manage to play better for the last 20 minutes of that game. And that's a consequence of Luis Enrique's style, and he can be stubborn from time to time, the Spaniard coach, but he knows what he do, and he knows what he does. He knows what to do with that team and to bring qualities from each and every player. This is not a question of a megastar such as Kylian Mbappe, for example, in the past, or Leo Messi or Neymar. So the star is the team. The whole team is a star, really, at the PSG side, and we have to give much credit for that to him, because even last year when he made some experiments in the UCL and they lost against Newcastle, for example, so many criticism from French press, from French journalists saying, what is it doing? What is it doing? And finally, we all have to acknowledge that he was the man of the situation for PSG.
Right, the man with the plan. I want to turn now to Inter Milan, because the fans of that team obviously very disappointed. So Karim, stay with us for a moment. We're going to take a listen to some of their reactions.
You win and you lose, but they played really badly.
I saw the whole thing and everything seems to have gone wrong from the beginning.
Very bad. I didn't expect 5 goals like that. I expected maybe a close game. A 1-0, a 2-0, but not 5-0.
Now, Karim, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Okay. So, excuse me there. I just wanted to make sure you were still with us. So, after listening to that, obviously they're really upset. Inter Milan, in the final 2 years ago, they were unable to win another heartbreaking win. What went wrong for them this time around?
I think that we saw yesterday night the limits of Inter Milan in terms of physical abilities, because let's remember to our viewers that even the captain Lautaro Martinez, he went back very quickly from a thigh injury after the Barcelona game. It was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that was a kind of around-the-clock situation to put him on the pitch. We knew that he would play whatever his condition was, but still, he wasn't at 100%. That was the same for the French defender Benjamin Pavard as well. He was questionable before the game. He played the game, but he went out very quickly into the second half because everything went wrong for Inter Milan, and that was the same for Bisek. He went into the pitch to substitute Pavard, and then he was injured less than 10 minutes afterwards. So I think Inter Milan players suffered a lot on the physical side, and that was the key of that final. They couldn't answer to that pressure I told you earlier from the PSG during the game.
All right, and there will be a parade today down the Champs-Élysées for the team when they arrive back in Paris. What else is happening today? What other celebrations are going on?
Well, first of all, the parade, according to our sources, they should leave Munich from maybe midday, early afternoon to take their plane to go to Paris. And then the parade will start at 5 p.m. local time. That will go down the famous Champs-Élysées Avenue. That was a wish from the owners of PSG, Qatari owners, because they wanted to have landmark pictures of that celebration surrounding PSG's UEFA Champions League win. So the parade will go on from 5 to I think maybe 6, 7. We'll see, and then they will go to the Elysee Palace to meet Emmanuel Macron. And at the end, the final stage will be at their home turf at the Parc des Princes to celebrate with their supporters as well. It should be by around 7 p.m. if they respect the clock. But we all know that in those kind of celebrations, it's hard to really have a precise clock. But anyway, that will be their day of celebration, maybe their unique day of celebration, because as James Vasina said earlier, almost all the players will go to their national squad as soon as Monday or Tuesday, so they will have to enjoy it. And Nuno Mendes told us that, yeah, he was eager to enjoy that with all the fans in Paris.
Now, Karim, after all the celebrations are over, the first thing people are going to be asking is, can the team maintain this level of play? So I put that question to you, and what will they need to do to be able to continue to play like this?
Answer will be straightforward. Yes, they can. They can maintain that level. And even this year, during the campaign, some journalists were were like talking to me like, no, they can't maintain that rhythm, that pace for a whole game against Arsenal, for example, and that was the case. But the key, in my opinion, for PSG for next year and maybe the year after will be to maintain that huge group mindset to play one for the other. And maybe we'll see whether some key players will leave at some point, because there was some gossip surrounding Vitinha, for example. Real Madrid was interested in him, and even Gianluigi Donnarumma, the goalkeeper, was criticized for the last 2 or 3 years, but now he's the hero of PSG. And yesterday after the game, he told reporters that, well, he's not quite sure to stay in Paris. So the reshaping of the squad, if there are some major losses, will be very important. But we can trust in Luis Enrique and Luis Campos as well, the sporting advisor, for their work to be able to put new pieces together. We can think about Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian player. He came this winter and he brought straight away his abilities and his capacity of a playmaker and to score goals as well. So yeah, I think that we can be now very confident for PSG, and they have such an advance at the national level that they can concentrate on European competitions and maybe worldwide competitions, because we shouldn't forget that there will be the FIFA Clubs World Cup starting in 2 weeks' time.
Karim, thank you very much for joining us on the program today. That's Karim Baldé, a sports journalist.